Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I really feel very humbled and privileged to be up here with you this evening, and I want to thank very sincerely the Gairdner Foundation, particularly John Dirks, for his kindness to me over now the last couple of years. I also want to thank a few other individuals. I've had the privilege of being supported by the National Institutes of Health for my entire professional career, and I'm really very grateful for the confidence that that institute has put in me from the very first day I walked into that institute as a fellow in training right out of my medical residency. I also want to thank my wife, Dr. Christine Grady, without whom I don't think I would be standing here before you. She's been the wind in my sails at the same time as the anchor in my life. And being someone who gets very passionate about the work that I do, it's very important to have a steadying hand when you're going through things like the early years of the AIDS epidemic, as well as intermittent stimuli to your life, such as pandemic flu, SARS, MERS, Ebola, and most recently, Zika. And so I want to thank you, Christine, for being with me there all the time. I also want to tell you sincerely how privileged I am to share this day with such an extraordinary group of my co-laureates for the Gairdner Foundation Awards. It's a great pleasure to be in the company of such extraordinary talent. Now, the message I want to have tonight is a short one. I feel very privileged to have had the opportunity to spend my entire life, professional life and career in the field of science. For me as a physician, science in the pursuit of health to alleviate suffering and to avoid premature death. And the importance and the impact of science was never more impressive to me than what started 35 years ago when, as a physician, I was thrust into the middle of what was the beginning of one of the most catastrophic epidemics in the history of our civilization, and that is the HIV/AIDS pandemic. I was a physician and am a physician trained to be a healer. And in those early days, I was healing no one because all of my patients were dying. I think even for the non-physicians in the audience, it is very difficult to explain how it feels when you're trying your best to alleviate suffering and take care of people, and everyone is dying. And what was the solution to that? The solution to that was the scientific process. And it began very simply with observational science, which then led to discovery science, with the discovery of HIV, the development of a laboratory test to screen the population, the development of the first drug, and then the development of the combination drugs. And science moves in a way that I know the people in this audience appreciates. It's not linear. It can be incremental, punctuated by breakthroughs, back to incremental. It goes from fundamental basic science to clinical science to translational science to development of products that are interventions. And that is the process that has ensued over the last 35 years to bring me from a time when I would go into a room knowing that the patient that I was desperately trying to take care of was absolutely going to die, to today, because of science, not just science that I've done, but the science that the entire scientific community has done over these years, when I can now walk into a room, the patient usually isn't in a bed, he or she is sitting in a chair, and tell them that if they take their medicines, they can live an entirely normal life. And that's the work of literally hundreds and thousands of scientists throughout the world. So I want to close by mentioning one thing. The young future scientists that are there in the audience, I have to tell you that in many respects, I envy you, because given the scientific advances and the stunning technological advances that are occurring, you are going to be able to do things that were completely unimaginable to me, and things that I never have been able to do or will be able to do, but you will be able to do it. So dive into it. Thank you.